Exactly. You
Ladies and
projected.
gentlemen, it's 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Welcome to Joystick Streams, where we talk about Sybil Shepherd, breakfast food, and Buffalo Bill at his most appropriate on. My name is Anthony John Agnello. I'm Joystick.com's community manager, and I am joined today by the fine folks from Human Head Studios, who are making Minimum. Human Head Studios, you might remember, are the studio behind Prey, one of the early big successes on Xbox 360. And more recently, you guys did the Wii U port of Batman Arkham Origins, right?
That is true, yeah.
Yeah. And we have two gentlemen with us today from there to talk about their new game Minimum, this sort of very sparse cubist shooter that Joystick's Alexander Slawinski is playing.
I reject the word sparse, by the way. There's a lot of stuff going on here.
Yeah, okay.
Minimalist.
Minimalist. Yep. We have Norm Nazaroff. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
That's correct.
We have Norm Nazaroff, the project lead from Human Head. Hello, Norm.
Hello. Good to be here.
And we also have art director Jim Sumwalt. Am I saying that correctly, Jim?
You are.
Yes!
Hello.
That is the first time Anthony has ever gotten people's names right on the show.
Yeah!
There's a dude running after me with a katana. What button do I press?
The shoot button, left button, shoot button.
No. Do I have a katana?
If you scroll down, you probably have a katana as your alternate weapon.
There we go. I'm after him, and now I'm doing somersaults.
Yes.
Yes.
And your
Aww.
right click, your alt fire is a dash that closes a gap when you're using a katana.
Okay.
You
Continue.
can get right up in his face.
Oh, he's chasing the creep.
In case
We'll see.
everybody who's watching hasn't realized what's happening, Alexander is playing Minimum. This is not like a box of Legos or something. And the guys are explaining how to actually do this, but for everybody viewing, Norm, can you walk us through sort of the basics of what Minimum is? What is going on here? What is your game?
Sure. So Minimum is a third-person arena-based shooter with some elements from MOBA games. So if you've played League of Legends or Dota or Smite or things like that, we try to bring in some MOBA elements to keep it fresh and interesting. The mode that you guys are playing right now is called Titan mode, and that's our core, like our premier game mode. We also have Deathmatch and Horde mode, which are also fun, but Titan is where we think we have the most new cool stuff to use.
So what is this new cool stuff? Because like I'm looking at this and I'm getting shades of like if Unreal Tournament and Rez had a like beautiful gorgeous baby after a drunk evening together.
Oh wait, that's my kaiju. I have to kill the other kaiju. Hold on.
That's right, kill the other kaiju. Kill the enemy kaiju. So the Unreal Tournament comparison is good. We wanted to keep it fast-paced, twitchy, arcadey shooter like Quake or Unreal Tournament, the old school, maybe a little Tribes, that kind of thing. But we wanted to bring in some of that MOBA stuff. So these Titans that you have walking down the middle, they're actually how you win the game. So you can't win the game just by killing people. It's not a deathmatch. It's not a race to a number of kills. Ultimately, everything you're doing is about protecting your Titan or attacking the enemy's Titan, making it more powerful so that it can bust through those walls and ultimately get to the enemy's base and destroy it with a giant robot punch.
Got it. So is there another team that is trying to stop Alexander from doing this right now?
Yes, the Red Man.
There is.
Correct.
The red
Man.
the red enemies are
The recording artist behind such hits as Let's Get Dirty, Red Man, is
he is the awful enemy that you're fighting here. So they're trying to fight you. They have their own Titan. They're trying to do essentially the same thing. The game breaks down into two phases, which you'll see. So the first phase is called the Titan phase, and that's the obvious when the big kaiju robots are marching down and beating on each other. That's the Titan phase, and that lasts until both Titans are destroyed, either by you guys doing damage to them, or by the Titans doing damage to each other, or by there's defensive turrets and that kind of thing. Once they both go down, a few seconds later you enter the creep phase. And you'll have a bunch of on this map. You'll have little robot guys that spawn. On other maps, they're like crystal spiders or lanterns.
Stay away! Hold on. Okay, sorry.
I don't think that's the reaction that Rico's Roughnecks would have, Alexander.
No, that's exactly how we do it on Rico's Roughnecks. So, especially if I'm dizzy.
Not that I would know. Not that I would know.
So
Now-
yes, So during the creep phase, you want to kill the little creeps, and they drop Titan power-ups. So you collect those Titan power-ups, and then that'll increase the number you see at the top of your screen. There's a red one and a gray one for enemy team and your team. The higher that number is when the creep phase ends, the more powerful your Titan's going to be when it respawns, and then it'll be more effective for that next Titan round.
There are also obstacles along the Titan's route where you could take advantage of them slowing down and start, unleashing your weapons on them. Or also the turrets are engaged at those moments as well. So if you're trying to protect your Titan, then you turn your fire against the turrets.
Jim, I love the look. I really, really like the look. And this is something Zav D'Amatos from Joystick was the one who brought Minimum to the team's attention before we were even talking about setting up the stream. He was like, hey, I tried this out at PAX, and it was really, really cool. And in stills, it gives off a very different impression. You get the impression of something that's going to be a little bit more austere than what you're seeing happen to Alexander right now. Like, there are explosions everywhere, and it is very, very frenetic and very shootery. So tell me about why. Like, why this approach? Why minimalist?
Well, I have to give a kudos to TimeGate because the game was brought to us later in its development, and they had established this minimalist look. And so when we first saw it, I mean, we were really impressed, much like yourself, about this balance between this minimalist approach and these over-the-top effects. And the other thing that it creates is all of the signs and signals and wayfinding that, a lot of detail can get in the way of. It allows us to really point the gameplay and towards certain routes that otherwise you might struggle with when you're trying to put a next gen detail pass on everything. So yeah, we've just kind of taken what TimeGate had given to us and kind of ran with it. We've made a few changes to some of the color. As well as some of the detail level. We pumped up the detail just a little bit more, but we're super conscious not to go too far. We kind of have our pass has been next-gen graphics, so it's really easy for us to kind of start adding detail and go, whoa, 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 relax, we're going a little bit too far. So we're kind of, I have to, manage the artist, and the artist and I go back and forth and try and, even I can get, when I'm making content,
I win!
Sell mode.
Alexander, perfect reaction.
Victory.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me that you have to sit there, and it's a very, very different problem than a developer would have had even 15 years ago, of saying like, wow, we have too much power to put in too much detail, and we really need to pare back. But at the exact same time, I can imagine that there is a compulsion when you're putting something like this together to want to add on and add on and add on to try and distinguish it. Because you guys are releasing this, this is an early access game, and you are in a very, very crowded field of third-person shooters, just third-person shooters. And I'm curious how do you go about making sure that something like Minimum is distinguishable and easy to understand as soon as somebody looks at it?
That is a huge challenge, and to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure we've solved it yet. I think the art style helps a lot, right? Yeah. So just looking different is the easiest way to stand out. Like you said, it comes across a little differently in screenshots, but it still comes across as distinct from most things you've seen, right? People make comparisons to Minecraft sometimes, or to or stuff like that, and it's it's sort of peripheral or on the surface is a little bit similar to those. But overall, it looks different enough that you see that, and it makes you want to dive that little bit deeper and take a look at it.
My very first reaction, and I said this to Alexander during the pre-show, I looked at it and I was like, oh my god, it looks just like Darwinia. Everybody's going to think that. And I was like, wait, I'm old. Nobody's going to think that.
Nobody's going to think Darwinia.
Nobody's going to think that.
You're the first person to make a Darwinia comparison, but that's actually probably the best one so far, actually.
Yeah,
that's
like
the closest.
That's sort of what it evokes for me, which is a very good thing.
Anthony and I were discussing this during the pre-show, and I basically turned around and had to inform him that the last time, I reviewed Darwinia when I worked at a newspaper. and that's
That is a very old sentence.
that's at least 10 years ago now.
That's a
So I'm gonna-
fashion statement.
I'm gonna clue you in on something else you can do real quick. So if you hit the M key, it'll bring up a menu that'll let you build armor.
Oh,
And so it's kind of like buying items in a MOBA game like League of Legends or Defense of the Ancients. On the lower left of the screen, you'll see two resources that you collect as you get kills or farm creeps and that kind of thing.
Okay.
And those let you build up your armors. You can upgrade each piece up to 3 times. So you have your head, your torso, and your legs.
I put on my Loki
I-
mask.
Do it.
All right, everybody in the chat, I am about to ask you a bizarre question in the chat.
Okay, should I just be fighting? Should I just be shooting at the enemy Kujo? And
Yeah,
Kujai.
Kujo, there's a
Kate-
giant cube dog.
Kaiju. Godzilla.
You want to do as much damage to him as you can while also killing the enemies who are fighting it. Because the Titans do a lot more damage to each other than you can do to them, especially when your weapon's only level 1.
Dude, I need to go between your legs so I can grab your crystal shard. Okay, there we go. Let me run
The
between.
collision around them's a little hooky into there. Gotta be careful. So once your Titan wins the fight, as it marches forward, you're gonna see these turrets that start shooting at it. So those are the things you want to focus on. You want to kill those turrets right away, and they'll respawn periodically. But you can shoot them; they'll die for I think like 10 to 15 seconds, and they'll come back. They do a lot of damage to your Titans, so keeping those dead is important.
And you want to pick up the blue cubes that are dropped after you kill a player.
Okay.
Those power up your weapons to the next
No,
level.
Yeah, we-
no, stay. No, it went away.
So you'll see the weapon you're using as you power it up. You'll see it start to shoot a spread of bullets,
Okay.
multiple bullets as you go. And so that one, once you get that up to level 5, it's particularly effective against Titans and turrets. If you get up close so that all your bullet spreads are hitting it, then it's really effective. And you can see what level your weapon is, and just above on your HUD, just above where it shows the icon for your weapon, you'll see a series of cubes filling in. That's the power level of your weapon.
Oh, okay. So it's level 3.
Yep.
Do I have a grenade to throw?
E. Yep.
Oh, I do. Oh,
All
of
right,
course, that's the moment I die.
Off-Gods in the chat got our first free copy of Minimum that we're giving away because he answered. He completed the line, "My name's Buck, and I like too." And this is what happens when you show up at the pre-show, everybody. This is how it goes.
Oh man.
All right, Alexander, why do you have horns now? What is happening?
Because I am son of Odin,
That's right.
Because you are now.
and my
Idris
brother is a
Elba.
big blonde jerk.
The shift key sprints also, by the way, by default. Just so you know.
I had 2 of them on me. I should have thrown a grenade.
He has horns because he's been crafting himself armor. So that's kind of crafting armor in Minimum is kind of like buying items in League of Legends or Dota. So over the course of the game, you earn crafting materials, which are like gold in those games, and so you can craft in 3 different slots: your head, your torso, or your legs, and each one has different bonuses to them. Some are damage bonuses, some make you tankier, some make you move faster, there's some legs that give you double jump and things like that.
Go away.
And then you can level those.
Yeah,
they
you,
have 3 levels.
yeah, you continue to upgrade them as you go over the course of the game. So there's 2 different powering up systems that run side by side in Minimum. There's the armor, which is persistent in that when you die, you still have your armor. Like, it doesn't go away. You upgrade that over the course of a whole match. Then there's your weapon leveling, which you level up your weapon when you get kills and pick up the cubes, but if you die, you lose your weapon level. You go back.
Is there a way to get new weaponry that has like a better baseline set, or do you always start with the same gun every single time you go out and then you level that up as you fight?
So we've got I think 12 different guns that you can use. You start with 5 of them unlocked by default, and you can unlock additional guns by playing the game. You earn cubes basically that you can put into unlocking new guns, and none of those guns have better base stats. They're just different kinds of guns. They're all powerful guns. But there's a stun shotgun that does lower damage, but has a major slow effect when you shoot someone and puts down a field, like a damage AoE field on right click. There is a rocket launcher-like thing called the plasma launcher that as it levels up, at level 5 it ends up shooting 3, kind of like the rocket launcher from UT2K4 where you hold the right click and it shot a spinning trio of rockets. It kind of works like that one.
Big splash.
Yeah, there's rail sniper, there's grenade launchers. There's lots of different weapons that you can get, and so it's mostly about choosing what playstyle you want to do. But you always start whatever gun you pick when you first come into the match. You always started at level 1, and then you level it up to level 5 by getting your kills.
And every single time you die, it drops 1 level, or all the way back to level 1?
So it depends. Yeah, it scales.
Does it work like Kane's story? Is my question.
Not exactly. So it depends on how far into the game you are. So each time you go through a new Titan phase, the minimum weapon level goes up by 1 to a maximum of 3. So at the beginning of the game, if you die, you go all the way back to level 1. But by the 4th Titan phase, if you die, you only go back to level 3.
Everybody, stick with us. We're about to take a very, very quick commercial break. Those of you who have Twitch Turbo, we're going to keep talking, so it's not like you're going to miss anything. And stick with us. Alexander shoots giant towers and giant robots because he is an angry, angry Norse god.
The other gun that was shooting that tower is one of the unlockable guns. It's called the bounce gun. You can see that the projectiles ricochet off everything, and it shoots at a real high rate of fire. So it's good in closed areas.
So what was what was the thinking as you guys took this, you were finishing it up to bring it to the state that it's in right now?
Hold on. It says kill the golden creep. Where's the golden creep?
You gotta find him. He spawns randomly. He's
somewhere.
running around, probably in the center area of the map somewhere.
God, that sounds like a Sesame Street bit. Find the golden creep.
Find the golden creep.
No, turn around, other guy. There's bad guys behind us.
What happens if you kill the golden creep?
So he's got he's basically a normal creep, except it's worth 10 creep score instead of just 1.
All right.
And so he's a particularly powerful creep pickup.
It's a particularly powerful creep.
Particularly powerful creep.
It's exactly what it says on my business card. I swear to God. I'm wondering, like, what sort of internal rules you guys had to go with when you're making this. Because I love the idea that, like, this armor is the stuff that you get to keep. And that is very modern, you know? That is the sort of thing that people are attracted to in the sort of decade that followed Team Fortress 2. It's like, these are the things that people like in a shooter. Yep. So, but you can't add on too much stuff to all of these characters without breaking the look. That's something we were just talking about, that moment where you're like, oh, we don't want it to look too crazy. So what are the rules that you sort of give yourself to keep yourself constrained in how you design, you know, what you can actually have these characters so people feel like they're earning more as they play?
Right. Well, I mean, there's some design rules in terms of, you know, we don't have too many angles, and the details are, the detailed pass is a little bit lighter. So yeah, what we can do with our simple look, though, is we can make really bold silhouette changes. We can make content that might, you know, our production loop for making content is fairly fast. So where others might make a lot of golden or a lot of just material or texture pass changes, we can do that, but we can also do big, bold silhouette changes. So, you know, that lands in our favor for doing some pretty crazy stuff. The other thing is, like, the game is supposed to be fun. It doesn't immerse itself too much in its own universe and narrative. So we can do some crazy stuff as well. So you'll see some skins that kind of get out there. And
there's the Hugosaurus and the Blockbeard skin, things like that.
Yeah, we can have a lot of fun with it and bring a lot of different personality. I think you know, fans of shooters, you know, they like to dress up in crazy stuff sometimes while they're running and gunning. So
I love that because it's true. It's absolutely true. Fans of shooters do love to dress up, but that is another sentence that just sounds so odd. Like, people that love spending their time fictionally shooting each other just love a flashy costume. Nothing is better than a jaunty new hat.
I win.
Clothes make the man.
Like, why? Why do people like that? Why is that so rewarding when you're playing a game where, like, the central hook is shooting stuff in a game? It's like tag. You understand that little interaction is a good time.
Right. I think it's because deep down inside, we would all do the exact same thing in real life if we had access to a magic closet that could just give us whatever we wanted. Like, I want to look like this today.
Right, and you wouldn't lose your job.
You wouldn't lose your job. No one would arrest you on the street. You know. Yeah, if we could do that, I think we would do that.
Yeah.
The central
that's
human
what-
condition wants to go play paintball wearing a cape and a Loki helmet
Exactly.
and jump off
nothing
buildings.
else.
That's
And
it.
jump off buildings, exactly.
I got it.
Exactly.
That's a very compelling argument because, like, I'm sitting here right now and I'm like, that sounds like a great day. I just want to do that right now.
That sounds like a thing I want to do.
I'm curious how your guys' process has changed. Because Human Head, as an independent studio, has survived for a very long time and through a very tumultuous period. You know, all the way back to Rune to today, you guys have survived through, like, three different epochs of the games business, really. And, you know, like, how is your process for making and releasing and getting people to play a game like Minimum different from Rune, from Prey? Like, what do you do now that you didn't used to do back in the day and vice versa?
Well, we'll try to field that, both of us. So
Yeah.
Jim obviously being an owner and one of the founders of the company, he's been here for the entire time. I'm a little newer to the company, but I've still been here for, I think, it's at least 6 years, maybe seven now,
almost,
6 or 7 years now. So one of the things that makes Human Head unusual is not only how long we've been around. There's not a lot of independent studios that have been around as long as Human Head at this point. Most of them were purchased by someone else, or were closed, or are technically still independent, but they're practically a publisher unto themselves. Someone like, you know, Valve.
Oh,
Valve is an
no.
independent studio, but I mean, they have Steam. They're practically a publisher, so we don't think of them as much like an independent studio anymore. So we're unusual in that regard. We're also unusual in that the average experience here at Human Head is oh no. We're 30 seconds behind you. We just saw the timeout. Well, this is a good opportunity. This is a good opportunity to go through and make yourself some additional loadouts if you'd like to. So if you click on the pistol icon
Okay.
on the front end, you can go in and you can change what weapons you have. So I think by default we've got a couple of you've got most of your loadouts have a sword and the bullet hell, but there's other weapons in there that you could use, such as the cryo sniper or the speedy shotgun or some other things like that. So if you click on one of the numbers at the top, yeah, and then click on the gun slot, and then yeah, you can read the tutorial text if you want to, or you can be a real hardcore gamer and skip it all. And
Yeah.
just assume that you know how it works.
That's pretty much what I did.
Yeah. So then you can choose to use the speedy shotgun or the cryo sniper in one of those loadouts instead. You can also change your device. There's a frag grenade and there's also a turret, an automated turret you can throw down.
No, not what I wanted to do.
All right, time to give away another code. And all right, everybody in the chat needs to complete this line. I'm just gonna keep doing this. Enjoy.
I like this. I like this strategy.
And like again, in my head, I was like, why don't I just lay down some Billy Barty quotes from Masters of the Universe, the live-action motion picture? And I was like, nope, not topical. Nobody's gonna know that. Not topical. Don't do it. Don't do it. Norm, you were in the middle of saying what distinguishes
Yes.
Human Head Studios.
Sorry. So one of the things is the average experience of the people here. A lot of the people here have been here.
Hold on,
for-
sorry to interrupt, guest.
No problem.
If I do horde mode, can I be auto matched to other people?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Let's go ahead and do that. I prefer horde mode. I'm not a MOBA player. I don't like the MOBAs.
No?
So
the thing is the map that you were on when you got disconnected. I think that's our prettiest map, Path of Lanterns.
no, that was. It was super pretty with the sort of Japanese garden inspired look
Yeah.
to it.
Yep, that's my favorite one of our maps. So yes, as I was saying, the average experience of people here is pretty high for the industry. So we have a lot of people who have been here for 10 years plus. So we've got not just the studio having been through all the different periods in the industry, but the people here have been through those periods at Human Head. And so there's just kind of an understanding among everyone who works here of having been through a lot of that stuff and having worked together through a lot of that stuff. And that makes it not easier. It's always difficult to endure tumultuous times in the industry and tumultuous times in a company, but there's that kind of solidarity there, that kind of long experience with each other that makes it easier to endure some of those difficult times, which I think has helped us a lot.
And in 2007, we literally had a fire that burned down 2/3 of our office.
Yep.
And the solidarity there, I mean, just how everyone pulled together. We had to move to a new spot while this spot was getting fixed, and it was really emblematic of just the quality and the people that work here is amazing. And I think the other thing is we like toolboxes, I guess I should say. We don't really have the factory line. You do the one widget. We have a lot of cross-discipline, talented people that allows us to adapt. Maybe other companies can't do that. We look for that talent and foster that talent.
Yeah. We've had a lot of success with bringing in green people with either very little experience or in some cases no experience. And Human Head's the sort of place that, being so small and focusing on developing individuals, it's a place where you can really grow with the company, and you can kind of you can gather as much responsibility and as much as much talent onto yourself as you're willing to expand to do. I came into Human Head. It was my first game industry job. I came in straight out of college, had very little experience. Came in as a scripter, which is it was a level design-ish sort of position, but like super junior. And over the 5 or 6 years here, I moved up through game programming and lead programmers, and now leading the Minimum project. And we've had a lot of other people in the company who have come in, totally green, and then very quickly grown into, not just managing, but just, being trusted in that you can give them a complicated game system or a complicated art task or a complicated, whatever it might be, and expect that they can kind of run that thing and
own it
own it without a ton of direct oversight. Which makes us a lot more flexible and a lot more agile, I think, than a lot of other game studios.
It seems like that arc of how you sort of make your entrance into the industry has changed dramatically. Even just 5 years ago, the process was, all right, well, I will go in, I will be at a major publisher-owned studio, and I'll cut my teeth there for a while, and then maybe I'll go independent and I'll start my own thing. And it seems like Human Head has been a place where there's been an alternate path for people this entire time. Do you think it's far easier to just start with an independent studio than it used to be?
I'm gonna say no, only because there's so few of them, and we're so much smaller. The thing about starting at a place like EA or Ubisoft or one of the huge studios is that because they're so big, they're basically always right. They've got hundreds or thousands of developers, and so there's a lot of churn, a lot of people coming in and out, and so it's relatively straightforward to get into a place like that. Even knowing about some of the smaller independent studios can be difficult, like just knowing that you should apply to someone like that. And then even if someone knows about like us or Double Fine or some other smaller indie place, we're just not always hiring people. Even if someone great comes along and we're like, oh man, you're really talented and we would love for you to work here, but we don't have the position. Yeah, we don't have a position, to bring you in for right now.
I mean, the other side of that is that it reflects security. It reflects all right, well, this is a place where like, if you do become a staff member, you can grow and pursue projects over a longer period of time, which is very, very rare.
Yep.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't ramp up and then cut down. Ramp up and cut down.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm curious about how that size and that method of working, like how does that guide the way you develop your games at this point? Obviously Minimum is something that came to you, like it was made in a certain way. Like Timegate brought this game to you, and it's in this state, and you go ahead and finish it. So what is the process? What is the, all right, well, we have this is how we're going to iterate on it, and this is how we bring it out there. Obviously, you're in early access right now, so there is an unfinished product there for people to play that is being polished as they play it. So what is your process? How does Human Head make its games?
So one of the big things for Minimum in particular was to make sure that we engaged the community for it as much as we could. So we actually do our own developer streams that we do twice a week on Wednesdays and Fridays. We're super active on our Steam forums. We also have a separate, minimum forums on our website where we interact with the community a lot. We're actually Steam friends with a lot of our more hardcore, consistent players. And we're constantly, and so we do all these things. We have all these channels to try to get as much feedback and as much visibility into what the community feels about the game, what they like about it, what they don't like about it, suggestions they might have for the future, bugs they're finding, all that kind of stuff. And we do our best to make sure that they feel like they can talk to us at any time, and that they feel like we're listening to them. Even if we don't always implement everything they say, we've always read it or heard it and considered it, and gotten their feedback involved in the process.
I realize that community is the mana of the developer now. This is how we make games. Community. There are drawbacks though. I always think of the scene in The Simpsons where there's the focus group for learning how to make Poochie, and the guy comes out and he's like, "You don't know what you want, 'cause you're stupid kids." So how do you take what the community says and filter out the useful feedback from the noise? And I'm not trying to insult community members or people that love video games, and I realize that that's a very delicate question, but at the same time, there is a signal to noise ratio that is difficult to navigate there.
Yep.
And so how do you figure out what is the most useful change based on community feedback? Is this something we need to address, or is it not something we need to address?
Right. So there was and I can never remember where I heard it specifically. I think it was at GDC or something like that. But there was a guy from Blizzard who was talking about how they handle balance in StarCraft and World of Warcraft. And one of the things that he said was players don't know what they want, but they know what they hate. And so one of their philosophies was, if a player comes to you with feedback and he says this thing sucks, I hate the way it feels, I hate the way it plays, you need to take a careful look at that. They're not always right. Sometimes it's just a particular person who has a pet peeve about some aspect of a game, but more often than not, there's something there. There's a reason that they had a bad time. There's a reason they didn't like that, and you need to take a look at it and try to figure out what you can do about that. When a player comes to you and says hey, I've got a great idea for a gun, it's going to shoot chainsaws and and that kind of stuff, that one you can be a little more. You don't dismiss those things, but it's not as important to just sort of take that feedback, because when a player pitches just a totally new concept, more often than not, because they're probably not a professional game designer, or they're not someone who's spent a lot of time doing that kind of stuff, they make the same kinds of mistakes that we do. Internally, we come up with lots of ideas that turn out to be terrible. We make them and then we polish them and we work on them, and we're like, oh, this is really bad. And then but you guys don't see that, because we do that whole loop and we throw it out most of the time before it ever gets to you guys. And so, player suggestions are the same way. Some of the suggestions are great, but it's very rare that you get a suggestion that's as pitched, that thing is great. It's almost always a thing that's kind of like that, but by the time you're done making it, it doesn't look all that much like what you originally thought it was going to look like. It's an organic process. Particularly at HumanHead, we really believe in the iterative approach to design, and failing quickly and trying new things, getting in there, seeing if it works, and then cutting it if it doesn't, moving on to something else, or making a radical adjustment to it if it's not working out very well.
My favorite thing to ask any developer is, what did you put in minimum that you guys loved the idea? You were like, this is totally going to work, and it just didn't at all. It was a mess. It was a terrible idea, and you had to make that decision of, this isn't working, we need to take it out.
So there's this pretty specific example, actually, and we're still trying to balance this particular system. So in Titan mode, you collect the resources to build armor, and early on we had a number of problems where we were trying to encourage people to play the game mode and not just sort of play deathmatch, but inside of a Titan mode framework. And so we were experimenting with a lot of different ways of sort of encouraging people to do what they wanted them to do by moving some resources around and how things were awarded. And one thing we noticed was that the really talented players were kind of monopolizing resources, not necessarily on purpose, but it was just like they were good at farming all the creeps, they were good at farming, killing players, and so they were just collecting all of the armor resources on their team and then crafting up their armor, and their less talented teammates were getting starved. So I don't remember the exact parameters of what we implemented, but we went to a system where we made the cost of the armor higher, and we moved the resources around such that we were trying to make it so that people would it was harder for the really talented players to get like all the way up to max armor before the less talented players were still at level 1 or at no armor.
How do I find my teammates? Is there a button to press for that?
There is not.
Okay.
But we should add that. That's on.
And it's just that easy, everybody.
Just that easy, everybody.
Because I've got hordes of enemies on me, and I'm panicking, and I can't find my other dudes.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is.
You are not the first to suggest that, which is why the response was so quick. That is on our to-do list of things to add to Horde mode, and probably to Titan mode as well, for that matter. Right. But anyway, so what we did was we tried increasing the cost of armor such that a talented player couldn't get too far ahead of a less talented player. And the unintended consequence of that was the talented players got super greedy for materials, because they needed all of these materials to get their armor, and so they monopolized it even harder, and the community like flipped out. We put it in, and like within like, I don't know, like 8 hours, we had just forum posts after forum posts of what are you guys doing? What were you thinking when you made this change? And it happened to be a stream day, so we kind of got on the stream and we were sort of sheepish, like, well, here's what we were thinking. This was the goal. Clearly that isn't worked out, and we reverted the change basically. I think the change was live for like 48 hours or something like that. In, out immediately.
Do you guys ever miss the closed off development process? Like, how would Minimum be different if this was 2007 and you were just working on this game behind closed doors and people never saw any of this stuff until like 8 months before it came out? Like, you wouldn't know that these balancing issues needed to be changed until the game was just done and then somebody bought it in a box. Was there any benefit to that version? Was there any benefit for developing in a vacuum?
So, I mean, there's good things and bad things about both sides. So, developing in a vacuum makes it easier to try crazy stuff, I guess. You can try crazy things, and if you've got an internal sort of testing and development plan, then you can spend more time sort of polishing those things down before you need to, like wholesale abandon them or something like that if you need to. With an external group, the initial player reaction can color how they feel about that system or that idea almost permanently. So like swords are actually a good example for us. Swords are a very contentious balance issue in the community. Our longtime players, are adamant that the swords are if anything underpowered, and certainly not overpowered. New players almost universally feel like swords are overpowered. We've seen this sort of consistent arc that players go through, where they come in, they play the game, and oh my god, swords are OP, this is the stupidest game I've ever played. And then they play a little bit longer, like, oh, okay, swords aren't OP, I found some ways to deal with swords, but I still feel like maybe they're too strong. And then
Plasma launcher.
Oh, plasma launcher and double jump completely ruins swords. I feel like swords are underpowered and they need to be buffed. And so there's a risk whenever you put things out into a community that you only see that initial reaction. And if you don't give it enough time to get all the way to the end of that curve, then you can make a lot of sort of knee-jerk responses to things that might have turned out really well if you'd held on to them and let the community stew in them for a little bit longer. But it can be really hard to, we want to make great games. We want our players to love the games we make. I think that's true of every developer, basically. And so when you put something out there and you see the community respond so negatively or so, angrily or unhappily or whatever it might be to something, it's really tough to just kind of stay that course and say, like, well, no, we know this will be better later. They just need to do it for a while. It's really hard to do, to trust yourself.
To say, trust us, this will be better in a long time. It's also like a different expectation of the audience's attention. Like, I feel like time was, you could say, well, we'll update something, And that update will be out in 3 months. But
Yep.
3 months is an eternity, especially for an early access game like this. Like, you need to, like you guys said, you're streaming twice a week. So that is a process where you've just got to maintain attention and keep that community as it is, just so that it will grow.
Yep.
How do you get the audience to trust you?
Lie.
Oh wow. Yeah. No, you don't lie.
You just lie constantly.
Lie nonstop.
Just lie. Just tell them
lie.
something is gonna take like 3 months when it's only gonna take you a month. Jory LaForge that stuff.
So that actually, there's some truth to that statement. So I wouldn't say lie, but I do say you quickly learn that you have to be really careful whenever you say that something is going to happen.
Right.
And especially if you're going to say when something is going to
buffer
happen.
your statement.
I think so. I was thinking about this a lot recently. Okay, you know, there's been some controversy over Double Fine's recent early access title, and you know, jumping from
Going back to the well. And...
yeah, and things like that. And I was thinking a lot about that. And one of the things that I think the industry is only just now figuring out about early access, and I know that we didn't necessarily, you know, we're new to this as well, like most of the industry that's participating in this. Early access is weird because players get involved in a process really early on, and it's like there's a term like no one wants to see the sausages get made, right? No one wants to see how that stuff happens. They just want to see the end product, and they want to enjoy the end product. And part of what people are seeing now is that I've never worked on a game where major cool things weren't cut at some point during the development. Yeah. Because that's just how it works. It's like when you start out the game, you plan out kind of the coolest thing you think you could possibly make within, you know, whatever your budget, your time frame, whatever your constraints are. And then from that point forward, it's a series of it's just like one constant slow walk away from the full feature set you thought you would have down to sort of what you end up with at the end. Which you can
No, Golden Creep! Golden Creep! Shoot it in the face!
Shoot it in the face, but where's his face? Can you even tell?
I don't care. Whatever direction it's going in, it's the face.
God, that Golden Creep causes some existential moments, man.
I know, right? Wow. And so what we're seeing is games that come out in early access with a set of features they really want to make, and then they exit early access with less than that set of features. And the reality is that from a development perspective, that's normal. That's how it goes. Like every game I've ever worked on goes that way. But from a player perspective, like I bought into this game because you told me it was going to have X, Y, and Z, and now you're telling me it doesn't have Z at all, and it doesn't have Y. It's got C. Like it's kind of like Y, but it's a different thing. And, and as a gamer, I can totally understand why that makes people angry.
We call that Molyneuxism.
Molyneux is there. There you go.
On our side of things, we call that Molyneuxism. It's a discussion of features that will make your design team go, "What did you just say?" We were thinking ninjas. Wait, what? We were thinking what? We were thinking ninjas, but
we've never talked about ninjas.
That never even what? Could you put ninjas into the game? No, Peter. No, Peter. The game launches next week. We can't do anything.
The ninjas need to be melancholy the entire time. Redesign the artificial intelligence entirely around reactive melancholy.
That's right.
That is not a thing. Not a thing.
I want the ninjas to feel poignant. I want them to convey the horror of existence. The funny thing is even if you're not Peter Molyneux, it's really hard not to do that. So even for us, like we're a smaller scope project and than anything Peter Molyneux has done recently. But when I get on the stream and players are asking about stuff, and every once in a while they're asking about something that we've talked about internally, but we don't have any plans to do it yet, but we've talked a lot about it, and I think it's really cool, and it's so hard not to just go, oh yeah, we're totally going to make that. Yeah, we're going to make that. And every once in a while I do that, like I succumb to that desire, and then we end the stream and I walk out, and it's usually Jake, our technical director, standing outside the door with arms crossed, just like looking angry.
What did you do?
Like, what did you do? Why did you tell them we were going to do that? We're not working on that yet. Now we have to work on that. Do you understand what you've done? You've chained me to this desk for the rest of the weekend.
You know, what he should do is he should take out your checkbook and write the number of how much it's going to cost for him to implement that feature into the game and just go sign right here.
Yeah, sign this. That would probably make me do it less often. That's true.
All right, I want to say that Dave Cap wins the day for actually catching the fact that I dropped a Blade 1 quote in here.
Wow.
To give away a quote. That was to give away a code. That was a deep cut, Dave Cap. Congratulations.
That's a 10%er right there.
If it didn't happen between 1988 and 1998, it's not happening on this stream.
It's not
everybody.
happening on this stream. Now we know.
Dave Cap, check your private messages.
Wait,
in just a
does
moment.
that mean I get to start dropping cutting edge references?
Yes.
Ooh.
Other than Topic, because everyone knows Topic.
Yeah, I guess that's my next question. If Minimum was a 1980s breakfast cereal, what would it be? Time for the softballs, guys.
It's breakfast cereal. It has to be one that was primarily geometric shapes, right?
Right.
It couldn't be Trix, because
No.
Trix is spheres, and we don't have curved surfaces in Minimum.
Oh, I got it. I know it.
Could be
Quisp?
Wisp?
That's a
Is that a-
1960s cereal.
I don't even know what you're talking about. I was to say, I don't know what that
That's
is.
like worm soda. You guys ever heard of that?
No.
Odd.
Worms? Never heard
Worm
of a can of
soda?
worms?
No, what is that?
It's like Dr. Pepper. It was the precursor to Dr. Pepper.
Really?
I don't
It
know.
was
No,
close-
Moxie was the precursor to Dr. Pepper.
No, it goes Moxie, Mr. Pibb, Verm Soap, then Dr. Pepper.
Wow, I am totally out of my league on soda knowledge. There's no way that I can keep up with this.
Which is what. Norm, you and I will just go get some Surge, and that'll be like.
By the way, the answer to all of your geometric cereal questions is Captain Crunch. You could make this entire game out of Captain Crunch and Crunch Berries.
Yeah, but what if it was Oops All Berries?
Well,
Then
it can't be berries, though. There's no spheres in Minimum. So it couldn't be the crunch berries. It'd have to only be the whatever those are.
True that.
I don't know what those are supposed to be.
The ones that cut your mouth.
The crunch pillows. We'll call them crunch pillows.
The ones that cut your mouth, exactly.
Yeah, the ones that cut your mouth.
Ladies and gentlemen, a new collaboration from Joystick and Human Head Studios. Crunch Pillows.
Crunch pillows.
Diversifying. Get ready. Hands on with Crunch Pillows.
So speaking of this, is kind of related to cereal, but we were at a grocery store not too long ago. My girlfriend found these cookies that are basically Cookie Crisp cookies, but like you can just buy like a whole box of Cookie Crisp cookies.
Gross.
It was gross. No, it was incredible.
So did
That
you
was
put
the
them in a
best-
bowl and then put some milk over it and just eat
No,
it like
but
that?
That's the next step. That's the next step. We didn't do that, but I want to.
Cookie Crisp.
Cookie Crisp. They're these little thin, delicious, crispy chocolate chip cookies. They were so good.
My buddy, wherever he goes, I go. My
So
buddy.
we're just going full bore Saturday morning cartoon commercials.
I feel like I recognize that, but what is that from?
Right, My Buddy was the most horrifying doll.
So My Buddy doll was the basis of the Child's Play doll, but no, here's the best part. So my next door roommate in college was the inspiration for the black My Buddy doll.
Shut up.
Swear to God.
What?
And he still, at the age of like 19 or 20, whatever he was at the time, looked like a giant My Buddy doll.
Oh, that's horrifying.
Like he still had like like the childlike cheeks and sort of round face, and it's like, yep, no, you were totally the inspiration for the Black My Buddy doll.
Oh my god.
Wow.
His romantic life must have been a nightmare.
No, actually, he did quite well.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
dude was
My
on the
buddy
football
me.
team, so he had like that childlike innocence, but like that giant beefy man look to him. Yeah, he did okay. He did just fine.
He did very well for himself. Havoc928 seems to be one of your guys' devoted community and is asking any chance on getting patch notes for this morning's update.
As soon as I'm done with this stream, I promise I'll make patch notes.
Yeah, but will the patch notes include details on the new Surge's sugar gem?
The new Surge's content.
Come on.
They might contain details on our upcoming collaboration with you guys on Crunch Pillows.
Crunch Pillows, absolutely. Everybody, holiday 2016, Crunch Pillows.
Crunch Pillows coming to a store near you.
There have been a number of questions in the chat, like people, and it's inevitable. It's inevitable when you're playing a PC game in early access that people want to know about other platforms. They've asked about Mac and Linux. Is that a possibility? Are we looking at consoles over a long term? What's the future?
Yeah. So, I mean, we're open to all of those things, honestly. We would love to bring it to consoles.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have any specific plans to do so right now, and there's some aspects like we're bringing Steam trading online soon, and we're going to support Steam UGC. In fact, that's what Jim was working on right before this, was our style guide for making content for Minimum. And stuff like that is tough to replicate on consoles. So we'd have to take a careful look at how we did that kind of thing. And then for Mac and Linux, I'd love to do that at some point. We've talked about it a few times. Our servers run on Linux, so some parts of Minimum already work in Wine and things like that. So we're just going to kind of keep an eye on it and see how it goes, and if there's enough demand, I'd love to get it on like, certainly on Steambox and stuff like that would be pretty cool.
I have to compliment your level design and art team on having such a good variety of levels, because you can totally see how this could just turn into level after level of Portal clone sort of looking just like white and blue levels. But no, we've had Japanese garden, we've had this sort of jungly look, we've had just a solid variety of levels that I've seen so far. So
well, thanks a lot. Yeah, I mean, our environment art, it's like one main guy.
Yeah, pretty much one guy. Yeah.
Paul Reynolds, very talented artist, and he works with our level designer, Shane Newton, who's a lot of our streams. And Shane goes in and gets the gameplay and flow going, and then Paul follows closely behind and sexies it all up and makes it look really pretty and lights it. And so we, like I said, we have a certain style that allows us to make pretty big jumps and be fun with it. And we also like taking more complex organic forms. Like the natural tendency might be to what's blocky? That's our look. So let's make things that are already blocky. But we kind of turn that on its head and look at more organic forms and how can we apply our style to something unexpected like that.
Oh man. Guys, I'm having trouble coming up with a final quote here. I was about to lay down one from the movie Equilibrium, but you know what? That's too much of a deep cut, so that's off the table. It's off the table. Everybody put away your arcane God, what's his name? Batman. I can't even remember his name now. That's terrible.
Oh, the Bane?
No, it's the other guy. It's Batman. Batman was in Equilibrium.
He was?
Yeah.
What?
Batman. It's just Batman without his mask and his hilarious voice. He's doing a less hilarious voice throughout the entire film. All right, I can come up with this. Alexander, help me out. Give me a genre.
I'm busy shooting raptors. Busy. Go away.
Working on the not so clever girl achievement.
He got it. He unlocked the not so clever girl achievement.
Nice.
And everybody was very excited about like the Jurassic Park drop officially being in there. I do like the raptors. Are there are there any enemy types that we have not seen that show up in the Horde mode?
I think you guys have seen them all so far, but we've got additional ones that we're working on. Yeah. More dinosaurs and more other kinds of stuff like that that'll be coming eventually.
All right. Here we go.
Are you trying to think of like a movie that you can try to pull a quote from?
I'm trying to think of something very strange to ask them about. Like, I don't want to go with an obvious one. Like Equilibrium. Or Big Trouble in Little China. I gotta stop talking about Big Trouble in Little China on the air, I'll tell you that much. Alright. right. Oh my God.
Well,
it's
give
almost
me
5
an actor, and then maybe I can get you one.
All right, give me Steven Seagal.
No, not Steven Seagal.
I was just thinking. I was just thinking
Because
about
the only thing I can think of when I think of Steven Seagal is the movie where he picks up the puppy out of the garbage bag on the side of the road.
What?
I don't even know what movie that is.
What?
Yeah, there's it's like Above the Law or Under the Law or something, and some dude throws a puppy into a garbage bag and throws it on the side of the road, but along comes Steven Seagal, friend to the animals, and rescues the puppy.
So he literally saves the cat. Well, I guess it was a puppy, but
Dun, dun.
how about Roadhouse? Roadhouse quotes.
Ooh.
Yeah. See, now this is a family show. And the only line I can think of for Roadhouse would then have to be turned into, "I used to party with guys like you in prison."
Oh,
But I feel like that brings it full circle.
We've traveled back to the beginning, folks. It's all back to the beginning.
What's the movie where Keanu Reeves jumps out of airplanes and they rob banks? And the cops?
Oh, Point Break.
Point Break.
Oh,
Point
all
Break.
right, yeah. All right, we'll actually go with Point Break. So everybody, get ready for a Point Break quote.
wait, could we do a cabaret quote?
No, we're not. We can't do a cabaret quote.
Why
We're
can't we do
committed to
cabaret?
Point-
That's
we're
Liza Minnelli
committed-
and Joel Grey. What do you want from me right now?
Because Gary Busey isn't in Cabaret, except for in my dreams.
Oh my gosh.
All right, yeah. Well, this one's gonna be real short, and the first person who gets this is my absolute hero.
We're ready.
All right. You just have to complete this quote. Utah blank. And it is a Gary Busey quote. And I'm gonna be very happy. Yeah. All right. I can't pronounce this. Is not an internet name. EDCXRIKOJ. Utah. Get me too.
Oh, that's someone's name backwards, probably, right?
It's gotta be.
Joker
Joker
X.
X.
No, that's still. I can't pronounce that backwards either. No, I don't know what that is. Nope.
We could have also gone with back off, poor child, seriously, but so Ed, we'll just go with shortening it to Ed. Ed, check your private messages momentarily here on Twitch. You've got yourself a code for minimum. We have just a few minutes left here on the stream today, and Alexander, you have we love here on the stream to play games that we have absolutely no prior experience with. Developers tend to not like that because they're like, "Wow, you guys suck." But I think that
Which is funny because the viewers let us know that plenty of times before the developers send us a polite email after the stream is over informing us that they had a good time. However, it would have been better if you had showcased our game in a better light by putting someone on the stream who is, a competent person.
whatever. I think it says a lot about a game, when you look at it being played by somebody who's never touched it before. You learn a lot about how it works when you see somebody discovering for themselves how it works. And an hour is a good period of time to do that. And Alexander, you acquitted yourself very well. You've played really well.
Yeah,
So-
the M button still confuses me, and I have to make sure to hit it
To remind yourself?
to remind myself to hit it, and I usually remind myself to hit it just as a swarm of dudes is about to descend upon me and kill me. But I do remember to do it from time to time.
It's the little victories. It's the
Hey.
little victories.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming to watch today. You can follow Human Head Studios on Twitter. They're at Human Head Games on Twitter. And your guys' streams, for minimum, are Wednesdays and Fridays, correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
And what is your channel? Where
We're
can-
Human Head Studios.
Just
on
Human
Twitter.
Head Studios. Very simple.
Very simple.
Norm, Jim, guys, thank you so much for coming. This has been a blast.
Hey, thank you so much for having us. It's been a lot of fun.
And what's the timeline for Minimum? You know, you guys are still in early access. When is this? When is it going to be finished? And I say that with air quotes, even though it's just audio and nobody can see me.
So, I mean, ideally, we want to work on Minimum for a long time. So we see Minimum as the kind of game that's going to continue to get updated, you know, sort of as long as it makes sense for us to do so. We want it to be like Team Fortress 2 or League of Legends or, you know, the kinds of games that are always evolving. So it's in great shape already. And, you know, you guys have had a pretty good time playing it so far. We've got a bunch of, like this patch that went out today is a bunch of stability fixes and some matchmaking tweaks and things like that. We've got new content that we're hoping to bring out next month.
Player-created content?
Player-created content and in our own internal content. So ideally, we're going to work on this for a long time, keep adding new stuff to it. Hopefully, we can be on the stream again in 6 months, and you guys will be talking about all the cool new stuff we added to it.
I love that idea. In 6 months, everybody, tune back into Joystick Streams. Human Head will be back. We'll be playing Minimum, and we'll give you a alpha look at Crunch Pillows.
I think Crunch Pillow. I think for the next time around, we will have to team up as friends do.
Yes.
And play together. So that I can scream and turn around at the same time and be like, I don't know what I'm doing, tell me what to do. And you can tell me what I'm doing in real time, which is basically just come over here, stand by me, look pretty, and shoot, which I can do. I can certainly do that.
All right, thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, our pleasure. And everybody, please tune in tomorrow. We're coming back, even though our regularly scheduled stream time is Tuesdays and Thursdays. We're going to be live tomorrow with Mr. Zav D'Amatos playing Disney Infinity 2.0. So if you've ever wanted to hear a gruff Canadian play with an action figure of Iron Man, we will bring that to you. You can follow Joystick on Twitter and Facebook and Google+. Just search for Joystick with a Q. That's Joystiq. And, yeah, you can see all kinds of fun stuff. Alexander Slawinski's review of Shadow of Mordor will be coming later this week. It's Friday, right?
Friday, yep.
Friday morning. Spoiler warning, Shadow of Mordor is a game, and that is all we can legally say about it because of embargoes. Anyway, everybody, there's lots of good stuff on the site right now. If you want to know about weird games like Murasaki Baby and D4, which is the new game on Xbox One by the guy that did Deadly Premonition, you can check that out right now. Jess Condit wrote both those reviews. Ernest Cavalli has an awesome review of Hyrule Warriors up. And if you want to hear a podcast that is almost 85% about butts, go listen to last week's episode of the Super Joystick Podcast. Until tomorrow, everybody, we're out. And I think I'm just going to go to the grocery store and get some Apple Jacks. I don't know about you guys.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us.